Inside the Sean Combs trial, explosive testimony, legal strategy, and the central questions at stake. As the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs resumes this week, the courtroom continues to be the epicenter of jaw-dropping testimony, high-profile witnesses, and intense legal strategy. With the prosecution aiming to build a far-reaching racketeering case and the defense aggressively challenging witness credibility, the proceedings are raising profound questions about coercion, celebrity influence, and the nature of justice in the post-Harsh Me Too era. The star witness so far, Kid Cudi's explosive testimony. Last week's standout moment came from rapper Kid Cudi, who testified about his brief relationship with Cassie Ventura, Combs' longtime partner and one of the government's key witnesses. Cudi alleged he was concerned for both his safety and Cassie's, describing an incident in which Combs, reportedly jealous, broke into his home, locked his dog in a bathroom, and tampered with his Christmas gifts. Most notably, Cudi recounted the firebombing of his Porsche, suggesting Combs or his affiliates were responsible. While his testimony supported the prosecution's effort to establish a pattern of intimidation and violence, including predicate acts like arson that feed into the broader racketeering narrative, it also had its vulnerabilities. The defense used cross-examination to highlight the lack of hard evidence. No surveillance footage, no eyewitnesses, no police report, and no arrests tied directly to Combs. Additionally, Cudi admitted he felt played by Cassie, believing she was dating him while still involved with Combs, a detail the defense leveraged to cast doubt on Cassie's victimhood and autonomy. Key question: how much weight can the jury place on circumstantial testimony in the absence of concrete evidence? Building a RICO case, a legal tightrope prosecutors are attempting to construct a RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act case, arguing that Combs operated a criminal enterprise for decades. The charges extend far beyond individual acts, seeking to portray a pattern of behavior involving assault, sex trafficking, intimidation, and financial extortion. Legal experts point out that while RICO cases are traditionally used against organized crime syndicates, their application here hinges on proving the existence of an enterprise and the commission of specific predicate offenses in furtherance of that enterprise. Upcoming testimony from Capricorn Clark, a longtime assistant and executive at Bad Boy Records, could be pivotal. Unlike previous witnesses who only worked with Combs briefly, Clark was involved over a longer period and may provide deeper insight into the internal workings of Combs' alleged operations. She was also mentioned in Cudi's testimony as someone who warned him that Combs was breaking into his house. Key question: can prosecutors establish a coherent and convincing narrative of a long-standing criminal enterprise involving multiple participants and coordinated acts? Defense strategy: challenging credibility and intent. The defense, so far, has been focused on undermining the credibility of witnesses and emphasizing consent and personal agency, particularly in the complex relationship between Combs and Ventura. They've painted Cassie not as a victim, but as someone with autonomy who willingly participated in what they characterize as a consensual, albeit unconventional, lifestyle. Cross-examination efforts also seek to show that many of the allegations are retrospective reinterpretations of consensual interactions. This strategy extends to questioning Cassie's motivations, including a recent $20 million settlement she received from Combs. It's a move that, while risky in today's cultural climate, could sway jurors if the defense successfully sows doubt about her credibility and the voluntariness of her actions. Key question: to what extent does past consent or financial settlement complicate a narrative of coercion and victimhood in a legal context? The role of culture and public perception. In the post-Me Too era, this trial is being watched closely as a cultural barometer. The prosecution's case reflects a broader shift in how abuse of power and coercive relationships are understood, particularly within the entertainment industry. Yet, even in this climate, defense attorneys are exploiting long-standing societal doubts. Did she want it? Was she complicit? Legal analyst Joey Jackson underscored the tension between public sentiment and the legal burden of proof, especially around proving force or coercion, a necessary element for sex trafficking charges. Key question: has the legal system evolved enough to appropriately address coercion and power dynamics in high-profile abuse cases? The prison experience, celebrity behind bars. While the trial captivates national headlines, Combs remains detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center. Reports that he and other inmates were offered holiday activities such as a BBQ, card games, and basketball tournaments have sparked curiosity. But legal experts say such offerings are standard in pretrial facilities. These details humanize Combs, but don't change the severity of the allegations he faces. Key question: how does pretrial detention of high-profile defendants affect public perception and courtroom dynamics? Looking ahead, what's next? With more than a month of testimony expected, the prosecution will continue to layer its case with witnesses meant to establish a consistent pattern of criminal behavior. The defense will continue to highlight inconsistencies, question motives, and challenge the idea that any alleged enterprise ever existed. One thing is certain: each day brings more revelations and more pressure on both the prosecution and defense to make their case before a jury that must decide whether Combs is guilty of being at the helm of a criminal empire or the victim of exaggerated claims and media hysteria. Final thought: in a case that straddles fame, power, and legal complexity, perhaps the most pressing question of all is, can the justice system separate truth from spectacle and deliver a verdict that speaks to the facts, not just the fame?